is World Kindness Day, World Equality Day, and World Usability Day, the 13th day of November 2025. But with World Usability Day, maybe you're asking yourself what this means. Basically, it's a day that tries to fix the issues with technology. Like that when you're finding it hard to maneuver with in these apps,
then how user-friendly it is.
Yes, so World Usability Day.
Okay.
This is Morning Cafe. Good morning. My name is Anno Dida. As you can see, a lot is happening today, and we do have a very packed show for you today. So good morning.
Good morning. My name is Fred Indibuli. I'm still stuck at the World Kindness Day.
Yes.
So I think we should be kind to the director today.
Yes.
Tusimpatie stress.
Unakuwa kind to today's director.
Huyo leo. Ule mwingine ndio unapelekanga mbio. Anyway, this is a Morning Cafe. Karibu sana. We continue with our countdown, Christmas countdown. 42 days to Christmas, 48 days left in 2025. For those sitting KCSE, inaisha next week, lakini leo bado wako na biology paper 2 at 8 a.m. this morning. Later in the afternoon, starting at 2 p.m. history and government. Wanaenda kimalizia. Sababu sio kila mtu anafanya biology, na it's not everyone who does history and government. Yes, so that is what we have this morning. Let's take a look at the day.
Biology is not compulsory?
What?
Biology?
No, kuna wale wanafanya some sciences, not all three.
Oh, okay. Sawa. We start off with the Daily Nation, our torture ordeal. That's Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo.
All right. Raila alivyotafuta ODM usiku Dandora. Hii usipoelewa utashika wanamaanisha nini? Taifa Leo.
The Standard, Weekly Diplomat.
And I love the choice of words. Alafu unaweka hapo mpaka wakaweka picha kwa hadi na magoti.
Okay.
That's the Standard. People Daily, Ruto's check up abroad, Kenyans reality check at home.
The Star, headache for Gachagua as Uhuru roars in Mount Kenya.
Yes, a big discussion there politically. And finally on Business Daily, Kenya to ban electronics imports over 12 years old. Unajua ya magari inakuanga 8. Sasa electronics wamesema kama hiyo TV imefikisha 12 years haifai kuja hapa ndani. That's a Business Daily. On our panel this morning for State of the Nation, Wilson Sosion, a veteran educationist and also a unionist, also a former MP, will be in studio alongside Dr. Peter Mbae, who is a Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at DCP. Atatuambia Uhuru amewafanyia nini. Political analyst Fwamba, NC Fwamba, will also be here to complete that trio to discuss our big headlines today.
All right. Today we have a packed show, as I'd mentioned earlier. We'll be talking to Engineer Shama Kiteme, that is the president for Institution of Engineers in Kenya, to talk about the state of engineering sector in Kenya.
All right.
Later on, tutakuwa tunapika some Indomie and labda some goodies. Let's talk Supami. So we'll be doing this with Elizabeth Wanjiru, that is the executive chef at Indomie Kenya. Kama unakulanga Indomie, ama hata kama ukulangi,
maybe there's a way you are yet to experience Indomie. You'll learn that today.
Actually, there's a way I need to experience Indomie because I don't take Indomie.
Yes, now you will start after today.
Kabisa. All right, to Kivuka border, we start off in Uganda. The New Vision, traders split over government compensation. Floods from Nakivubo Channel affected over 1,600 businesses. And the story has been covered on page 3. The New Vision is yellow kama kawaida. Museveni campaigns in Palisa Butebo ahead of the January 26th general election. Manifestors are also here. Poverty eradication tops Budaka and Kibuku voters' demands. That story is on page 6. U.S. evangelist Paula White arrives in Uganda. On the top strip, what Mafabi Chagulanyi told voters.
And this is what is making me laugh. Because every day on this paper, there's always a huge space for Mudavadi, Museveni. And then they tell you, okay, what Mafabi and Chagulanyi, and the other one called who? Mutabi or someone. Or Mutabi or someone. What they told voters. Inakuanga tu hapo kwa front page. At least wanasema they're not like Tanzania. At least wameongeza wale wengine pale. Yeah.
And special pull-out on transforming cancer care in Uganda is another story covered on page 21 to 28 of the New Vision, and that's the New Vision.
Still staying in Uganda on the Daily Monitor, 2026, no coming back. A survey by this paper shows that several MPs chose not to run for re-election after they were defeated in internal party primaries and were not endorsed to carry the party flags, while others said they had served their time and were ready to retire and focus on private ventures. Does that happen in Kenya? At MP anakaa tu hivi anasema, hey, me, I think I've served my constituents enough. Let me now rest. kidogo akionja hiyo bunge hataki kutoka huko.
They'll find other regions to buy.
And some of them are here on the front page, at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16 of them here who are saying, okay, fine, we're not coming back. I missed out on the party ticket, or I'm just tired. Okay, fine, I've already done my bit. Wacha mtu mwingine aendelee.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They'll go to heaven.
That's a new one. Probably we should adopt something like this. Next 2027, watu wakuja waseme, sini ushawafanyia kazi, wacha nika relax. Yeah. So that's a big story there. Released Kenyan activists narrate their ordeal. That is on the Daily Nation today. So at least it's still mentioned on the Daily Monitor as well. And Uganda shines in 2025 Global Tourism Ranking. NUP supporters charged with various offenses. Jana tuliona mmoja wao alikuwa amekaa kizimbani hapo kotini. And those are the big stories in Uganda today.
Ujana, he does not cook food I eat. He does not eat food I cook during my period.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a new one.
Twende Tanzania. Gazeti la Mwananchi, matarajio ya wananchi. Wananchi wametaja hoja 7 wanazotamani zipate majibu kupitia hotuba ya Rais Samia anapozindua bunge la 13, waziri mkuu mpya, baraza la mawaziri na vurugu za uchaguzi navyo vachukua nafasi. Kuna masuala mengine ambazo zimezungumziwa hapa katika ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili na vile vile katika ukurasa wa 2, 3 na 4 yaliyotokea Oktoba tarehe 29 kutokana na majeraha, vilio vya mauaji, kesi za uhaini vilivyotokana na vurugu za uchaguzi. Matarajio ni kuona Rais Samia kesho akitoa faraja, mwelekeo mpya unaokwenda kuponya au kuimarisha umoja. Vile vile uteuzi wa mawaziri mkuu. You mentioned this yesterday. Haiba, misimamo, uwezo na uadilifu wa waziri mkuu anayeteuliwa hii leo nao unatajwa kutoa taswira ya utendaji wa serikali kwa miaka 5 ijayo. Mwelekeo wa serikali mpya na hotuba ya kwanza ya Rais Samia kwa bunge inasubiriwa kutoa mwelekeo halisi wa serikali, mipango ya maendeleo na uimara wa bunge katika kusimamia serikali. Vile vile wanazungumzia uponyaji na maridhiano. Wanasema kwamba baada ya vurugu wakati wa uchaguzi, kauli za viongozi wa dini wakiwemo wanasiasa na ni kuwepo kwa meza ya mazungumzo, lakini maoni ya wadau ni hatua gani za kuchukua kwa wahusika, mtu gani asimamie maridhiano. Na baraza la mawaziri pia, Watanzania wanatamani kasi ya maendeleo na uteuzi wa baraza jipya. Hiyo ni baraza la mawaziri, nao wasubiriwa kubainisha uwezekano wa kasi hiyo kwa kutegemea wahusika. Once again, habari kamili katika ukurasa wa 2, 3 na 4.
Unajua hii inaitwa hotuba ya rais kule Tanzania ni ya kufungua bunge, lakini hapa Kenya next week we anticipate the State of the Nation address by the President, which happens only once a year. So it's a big deal as well. So in Tanzania they say 7 things. In Kenya tunataka mambo magapi? Mengi zaidi.
Mrundikano wa wanafunzi mtakuja washtua ni habari nyingine. Kule juu, Lissu alianzisha upya awapinga mashahidi. Ni mwenyekiti wa Chadema amepinga shahidi Fiche wa Jamhuri kuendelea ushahidi katika kesi ya uhaini dhidi yake, akitoa sababu katika ukurasa wa 6. Gazeti la Mwananchi.
Right. Tukisalia kule Bongo, The Citizen, all eyes on Samia in next 2 days. Now in the wake of recent developments in the country, virtually all attention will today and tomorrow have to be on President Samia Suluhu Hassan as she announces a nominee for Prime Minister today and addresses Parliament respectively. So wametaja mambo kadhaa ambayo yanafanyika pale. What happens, the former Prime Minister akiondoka, mwingine akikuja pale. Wana quote, ananukuliwa hapa Professor George Kahangwa, University of Dar es Salaam, sema given current realities, it is expected that the speech will address the October 29th protests, which resulted in deaths, destruction of public and private property, and multiple legal cases. So the same story, the anticipated address by President Samia Suluhu Hassan to Parliament as she officiates the official opening. Government finalizing law on Islamic finance is another big story there on the Business Daily pullout of this paper, The Citizen. Pale juu, cancer cases on the rise. Kilimanjaro leads in numbers. So just as it's happening in Kenya, some sections of Kenya, inasemekana there are some regions with more cancer cases than others. Hata kule Tanzania, Kilimanjaro is leading. Alafu kuna moja, the most neglected health habit in Tanzania has been revealed on page 5 of this paper.
All right. Those are the regional dailies, and we'll be back to take a look at the local ones. Tuangalia hali ya anga. And we start off in Meru, 16 degrees this morning. Feels like it. It's a cloudy day here, highs of 22 degrees. And precipitation in Meru today, 2.1 millimeters. It will definitely rain. Further north in Wajir, it's quite hot this morning, 25 degrees, feels like 27. It's a partly cloudy day, highs of 33 degrees. I don't think any precipitation is expected in Wajir. And those high temperatures will continue into the weekend, 34 Friday, 34 Saturday, and 34 Sunday. Okay. Diani, 25 degrees, feels like 28. It's a mostly cloudy day. Highs of 29, and precipitation in Diani today is 0.6 millimeters. Holiday weather. Oh, yes. In Kitui, even as the president continues with this 4-day tour of the Ukambani region, anajaribu kuua wale watu wa Kalonzo Musyoka. Askeni aje. Light rain expected in Kitui today. It is currently 19 degrees. It will get as hot as 27 degrees, and this will continue into the weekend. But yes, definitely some precipitation expected there, 4.3 millimeters, which is the highest we've seen so far. Turkana, 27 degrees, feels like 28. Clear skies with periodic clouds. Highs of 36 degrees in Turkana. Precipitation hapa hata hakuna kitu. Yes, it's quite warm in Turkana. The Lake Victoria region in Homa Bay, it's also quite warm this morning, 21 degrees, feels like 24. Promises to have some cloud cover throughout the day. Highs of 28 degrees and zero precipitation there as well. And these warm temperatures will continue into next week as well. Finally, weather in Nairobi, it's 17 degrees this morning. It's a mostly cloudy day today. Highs of 24 degrees. And precipitation in the city, 3.7 millimeters. At least tuko chini sana in as far as precipitation is concerned in the city. All right, 13 minutes for 6 a.m. Tuangalie Nairobi traffic. All right. Not much is happening. Even I could tell that by even how the traffic was this morning as we came to work. Not much traffic. Nothing out of the ordinary on the major tributaries, Jogoo Road, Nile, Outer Ring Road. Same story as always. Thika Road as well, same story, Pale Pangani interchange. The other stretch from Kule Ruiru, nothing much to report. It's green all the way, Kiambu Road, nothing to report as well. But it's getting busy, and this could be an indication of what's happening right now, as most schools have already closed, so there's a lot of holiday travel that has already started. And you can see areas around Machakos Bus Station, Pale Railways Roundabout, Haile Selassie Avenue, getting towards the Landis Road roundabout. It's getting busier, meaning that a lot of traffic is concentrated around this area where we get a lot of buses and the vans that travel up country. So watu washaanza kwenda ushago. Yes. This other side of town, it's green on all major highways into the CBD. So that's the traffic situation this morning. Watu washaanza kwenda Christmas? Washaanza kwenda ushago, not necessarily for Christmas. Yeah. Watoto wakifunga shule, they're usually shipped. Waenda wakae huko kwa shosho. Alafu wazazi watakuja baadaye. All right, let's have the quote of the day.
The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time.
Let's come back and take a look at the local dailies in depth. We start off with the Daily Nation, our torture ordeal. Tribulations, what began as a brief cross-border visit for Kenyan activists Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo turned into a brutal test for endurance that neither of them will ever forget. For 38 days, they were blindfolded, chained to chairs, and beaten in dark and cold dungeons. Their mistake? Traveling to Uganda to attend the manifesto launch of the country's opposition leader, Bobi Wine. The story has been covered on page 2 and 3, and they say, Nicholas Oyo, we went to Uganda because we are East African community citizens. I keep asking myself, what wrong we did? What wrong did we do, rather, by crossing the border?
Yes. Because if at all, and this is a question, if at all they committed any crime, the best thing would have been to subject them to the laws of Uganda, take them to court. This is what you've done. come jibu mashtaka hapa because there are laws if at all you commit a crime, but hawakuambiwa kitu yote. President alisema they are just experts in chaos. Yeah.
Now, President Yoweri Museveni, it has been mentioned here, has admitted wholly the duo what he described as chaos experts. He's quoted here again, anasema they have been with us, I have their names, they were working with the Chagulanyi's group, they are experts in chaos.
Yeah.
Very casually.
They're just experts in chaos. That was their mistake. See, actually, they caused chaos in Uganda. They're just experts in chaos. Yes.
Okay. This story, once again, is on page 2 and 3. Other quick headlines are on the front page of the Daily Nation. 4 billion shillings death threat to senior school rollout. And printing firms have declined to produce grade 10 textbooks over a debt of 4 billion shillings for grade 8 and 9 books they have supplied since 2022. A standoff that now threatens to derail the rollout of the competency-based education CBE. And all this is because the government still owes publishers 10 billion shillings for the school texts. Now, printers are demanding that publishers clear the outstanding bill before they can work on the next order.
This is a big one, and the good thing is that Wilson Sosion will be with us today. Tuambie, he's not such a fan of the CBE, but such things, because it's now a reality. The very first cohort of guys going to high school for CBE wako tayari, washamaliza exam, they are ready, lakini hakuna vitabu. So wanaenda huko kusoma na vitabu gani? What texts? Sa publishers wamesema hatu print hizo vitabu. Mulipe deni.
Why Kanjawan's order halting police hiring lifted? They say Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja wants the High Court to urgently lift conservatory orders halting the planned recruitment of 10,000 police constables, citing a critical shortage of officers and looming security threats ahead of 2027 elections. Matters Sports teenager Kibet overjoyed of a maiden call-up to a star squad. The story is on the back page. And still on the back page, emerging stars vow to return Kenya to pinnacle of steeplechase, 1,500 meters races. And for many years, the country dominated the two events. That is youngsters Edmund Serem and Fanuel Koech, who have been shortlisted for 2025 World Athletics Awards. And finally, on the back page, Cameroon World Cup. Hopes hit by injuries as DR Congo prowl. That's the Daily Nation this morning.
Okay. I'd like us now to skip that one and go to the Standard, because it's a similar story about what's happening to Kenyans across the borders. Of course, the two gentlemen who are in Uganda, they narrated their story there, and it's captured very well on the front page of the Daily Nation. That's Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo. But at the same time, in Tanzania, there are two Kenyans who are said to have been killed during the protests after the elections of October 29th. Still, the government of Kenya said nothing. And this is what is captured on the front page of the Standard. Weak-kneed diplomat, and they put everything squarely at the feet of this gentleman, the Foreign Affairs CS, who happens to be the Prime CS, Musalia Mudavadi. And they say he's now facing mounting criticism for his muted response to the growing abuse of Kenyans in neighboring countries. For the abduction of activists in Uganda to the brutal killing of a teacher in Tanzania, Kenyans abroad say their government has abandoned them. Instead of summoning diplomats, like usually happens everywhere else, yes, or issuing firm protests, he's being accused of appeasing regional leaders. Yeah, he's more concerned about making Samia Suluhu Hassan happy and Yoweri Museveni. Hawa wasichokozwe. Hiyo ndo kazi yetu. Yani, as a foreign affairs office in Kenya, their job is to make Yoweri Museveni happy and Samia Suluhu happy. But Kenyans, that is secondary. Hiyo si kazi yao. He's now accused of appeasing regional leaders. Mudavadi pales compared to the US's Marco Rubio or Russia's Sergei Lavrov. Awa ukichezea an American or a Russian, awa watakumaliza. They can chew you with their teeth immediately. But when it comes to Kenya, weak-kneed diplomats, that's hapo ndio tumefika. Sio mimi nimesema, by the way. Wacheni kunikasirikia. It's there on the front page of the Standard. You cannot avoid it. Iko hapo. Na wameka hadi magoti yake hapo. Sio mimi. So those are the issues. There are people who died in Tanzania. There are people who are put in the fridge in Uganda. And there are people in Tanzania who are Kenyans, they've even lost their businesses. Yeah. Just because they're Kenyans, nothing else. But nini? Anyway, that's the Standard. And that's the only story on the front page of this paper. Tuangalie huko ndani kama wana mambo mengine. Teachers, SHA, nini. A woman has sued Mary Stops, claiming her rights were violated during an abortion.
I was looking at you, Nyone, if you're going to pass that story.
This one is a very, okay, fine. Where young girls and women, Probably because you see there's already, it's a dicey issue when it comes to abortion because our laws do not permit it expressly, but there are instances where you're allowed. So for this one to go out and go to court to actually say, yes, I procured an abortion, but I was mistreated during the process. This is a new one. Yes, it's there on the page 3 of this paper.
I will listen to it. The hospital allegedly performed a coerced surgical abortion without anesthesia and ignored her consent. Consent.
It is a dicey issue, and I'm saying it's before court. Probably the court will have to tell us more about what happened there because, okay, fine. It is, he said, she said. Yes. That story about Njagi and Oyo recounting their 38 days of torture in Ugandan military camp is there as well. Yes, Mudavadi clueless, that's there as well. And nasema mobile phones are remaining as the biggest headache in exams integrity. Hapo ndio watu wanafanya mambo mengi. Yeah. All right, on the back page, Matters World Cup qualifiers. Tonight, there are big fixtures. Nigeria versus Gabon at 7 p.m. and Cameroon hosting DR Congo as well. Group winners Algeria, Cape Verde, Egypt, Ghana, Tunisia, South Africa, Senegal and Morocco. Well, unfortunately, Kenya tutakuwa tunaangalia. Huku tulitoka. Ni kuangalia tu. So that's the standard today.
All right. Let's go back to Taifa Leo. Raila alivyotafuta ODM usiku Dandora. Na huku chama cha ODM kikijiandaa kuadhimisha miaka 20 tangu kibuniwe, katibu mkuu wake wa kwanza Jane Wangui Muringi amefichua kwa mara ya kwanza jinsi marehemu Raila Odinga alimtembelea nyumbani kwake mtaani Dandora akitaka kutoa chama hicho ambacho kilisajiliwa baada ya kura ya maamuzi kufanyika. Anasema kwamba afisa mkuu wa kwanza wa chama cha ODM aelezea Odinga alivyomtafuta kwa lengo la kununua chama hicho kipya.
You know, immediately after he said, na hiyo chungo itakuwa chama, watu wali register haraka sana. So he did not anticipate that people would do that. So he had to go look for those people who have already registered it. Na kuna mwingine hata alihepa na ingine ikaenda kwa ODMK.
Wow.
Kwa briefcase kwa tuna registration yake tu anatembea anangojea kuja wanunue chama.
Right, anasema wafuasi wa ODM hapa mbele katika kikao na naibu kinara wa chama hicho na gavana wa Mombasa Abdul Samad Nasir. The 20-year celebration iko around the corner. Is it next week?
No, it starts today. It's a 4-day event starting today all the way up until Sunday. And I think this is just one of the stories of the origin of the party. Perhaps the oldest party that we have right now that still is relevant. Can we still the oldest party we have? But how relevant is it? How many members of parliament? I think it has 1 or 2 in parliament, but this one has 85 members in the National Assembly. So yes, perhaps the most consequential party of our times. And as they mark their 20-year anniversary, time for us to understand, okay, fine, how did this party come to be? Yes.
Vidokezo zaidi mbele ni kufa kupona kwa rais. Uchaguzi mdogo utaamua iwapo kiongozi wa nchi bado ana ushawishi mlimani. Koti yampa nabii afueni ya muda. Ni kiongozi wa kanisa la Zion Fire Anointing Ministry apumua koti ikisema asikamatwe na polisi. Na vile vile UN yataka Tanzania ichunguzwe. Wanasema kwamba kumekuwa na jaribio la kuficha ushahidi na ukweli kuhusu mauaji. Kule juu wanaharakati walivyoishi kwa friji siku 38 kule Uganda ni habari nyingine ambayo imezungumziwa katika ukurasa wa pili.
Alright, tukiondoka pale, People Daily, Ruto's check-up abroad, Kenya's reality check at home, health crisis. So this story talks about how the president unwittingly, while mourning the death of Raila Odinga, he unwittingly said or revealed the fact that he himself encouraged Raila Odinga to seek medical attention abroad. And he said that he himself went to Dubai for a checkup. Yeah, during the same time. So I don't know, Liza, okay. So nyinyi mnaenda majuu na hata rafiki yako unamwambia aende kule, lakini Wakenya wako hapa na SHA haifanyi kazi. Sio mimi nimesema, pengine inaweza kuwa inafanya kazi upande mmoja, kwingine wanasema haifanyi kazi. So it's a reality check. Ruto's check-up abroad, Kenyans' reality check at home. How many Kenyans can afford medical attention outside this country?
Maybe 1%.
Yes. Lakini hawa President mwenyewe anasema hata mimi nilienda Dubai. Post-Raila era, will Mountain and Lake finally link up? That's a story there on page 8. Kindiki moves to secure Mount Kenya amid opposition hit. Oh yeah, Kindiki. Everyone is talking about how they are taking over the position of deputy president. What will happen to Professor Kindiki? And he's working really hard to secure Mount Kenya. Wacha kunifanya nicheke, wacha hiyo.
Tukisonga mbele teke. The Star, headache for Gachagua as Uhuru roars in Mount Kenya. Jubilee attracting aspirants eager to run on its ticket. This story is on page 4 and 5 of The Star. Miracle as a man bedridden for over 20 years walk again. Oh wow. Ibrahim Mungai with Kenyatta National Hospital doctors after successful medical intervention for 20 years.
He hasn't walked for 20 years.
Imagine.
Sasa likumbuka vile unaweza tembea.
Utafunzwa tu.
Unajua, if you don't ride a bicycle for a long time, unasema okay, utastumble kidogo lakini utakumbuka.
Yes.
So probably it's the same thing. That you don't walk for 20 years but then utakumbuka how to walk. Yes.
Ruto on 4-day tour of Kalonzo's stronghold. He's here during the inspection of Wote affordable housing project. And the president launches the construction of a 20 kilometers Emali Matiliku Road and commissions Kasikiu and Mikuyu bridges.
Something interesting also that happened during that tour is that he went to the Kitui State Lodge. I didn't even know there was a Kitui State Lodge. For the very first time. It's a new state lodge. So he went there for the very first time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Graph for how billions are being looted in counties and tech Sakaja launch. Iko na mambo. Anasema technical team wants dish in a county made permanent in Nairobi. That's The Star.
All right, Business Daily. Kenya to ban electronics imports over 12 years old. A new rule seeks to protect public from health hazards and age restrictions based on UNEP guidelines. Kenya is set to ban the importation of electronics such as TVs, fridges, smartphones, computers, and other household and industrial appliances that are older than 12 years from the manufacturing date in a war on electronic waste dumping. So unaweza imagine simu enye ni 12 years old. Even iPhone, some models of iPhone I think are already more than 12 years old, which are being used here in Kenya. But now probably they will no longer be allowed for importation. Elsewhere, Vodacom rules out hiving off, listing M-Pesa amid CBK push. There was that push to separate M-Pesa from the main Safaricom and list M-Pesa as an entity. The mother company says, not now. On the ticker, Kenya's economy seen growing at a faster pace in 2026, that's next year. Tanzania-based tycoon takes 41.75% control of EAPC. That's the East African Portland Cement Company. And MPs lift freeze on new power purchase deals. Those are the stories on the Business Daily. Once again, a reminder of our panel this morning, those who will be helping us look at the big headlines. There's a lot to discuss, from Kenya's diplomacy to the politics of ODM and even the Mount Kenya region. Wilson Sosion, a veteran educationist and a unionist, also a former MP, will be in studio, alongside Dr. Peter Mbai, who's the Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP, and Fwamba, NC Fwamba, political commentator. Do stand by for that, coming your way in a short while.
All right. Later on, we'll be having Shama Kiteme, that is he's an engineer and of course the president of Engineers Institution of Kenya, to talk about the state of engineering sector in Kenya. Kisha will be talking about Supami with Elizabeth Wanjiru, that is executive chef at Indomie Kenya. Tuangalie caricature.
Wachoraji wanasema nini? Wanazungumzia nini? Chungwa pale, yes. And very aptly put, it is time for us to take a look at the Orange Party. But hapa the Orange Party is caricatured as having been blindfolded by UDA already. Washafungwa, haoni mbele. Ako katika crossroads, lakini haoni mbele. Sana commentator anauliza, what is ODM seeing? What are they seeing? Wengine washasema, tuliambiwa.
This is the Daily Nation. Ukambani shouldn't be in the opposition. Ni president alisema jana akiwa kule Ukambani. Lakini there's somebody here with hiyo ni nini kwa kichwa?
Wiper. Ni ile wiper ya gari.
Wiper ya gari, anasema no, we are in the pole position.
So probably anasema hivyo, and it's true, because now it would appear Kalonzo Musyoka anaona it's his realest opportunity for him to be president. So probably Ukambani will not be in opposition. Hajakosea.
Okay.
On the Star, it's my ocean too. Yes, that assertion by the Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni that he has a right to the Indian Ocean despite the fact that his country is landlocked. Na akasema kutakuwa na war hapa mbele. Sasa mimi nilikuwa shangaa, anajaribu kutisha nani? Kenya ama Tanzania?
Sisi.
Mbona tuna feel ni kama sisi tu akizungumza ama mtu yote azungumze bila kutaja Kenya, tuna feel ni sisi tuko targeted. Aren't we being a bit too sensitive, overly sensitive?
Finally, the standard ghost learners, blame them not us. This is a teacher caricatured here akijiangalia kwa kioo. Anasema blame them.
Lakini ni yeye tu, si kama anaangalia kioo ni yeye anajiona.
All right, these are the stories making headlines regionally and of course here at home. So do interact with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X, at TV47 Digital. My handle on X is at @Ann_Dida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe TV47.
My handle on X is at Fred Indemuli. See you after the break.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Oma every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
Walikutoka.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Mimi simpa. Hiyo naona nakubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV47. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Frederick. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Frederick is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Ani wewe furahia umekaa na kasipuni. CP unit ni Punet.
So you guys knew about
Piga.
Sawa basi. Sema, that don't give you the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You'll have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m.
Next time you need fresh lemon juice, Microwave a lemon for 7 to 10 seconds. Then, roll the lemon back and forth under your palm on the counter. When you squeeze, you'll get more juice from the lemon with way less effort.
Start your day with Relationship Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. with Ann Odida. Dive deep into the dynamics of love, friendship,
All right, good morning once again. This is Morning Cafe on TV 47. My name is Freddy Ndimuli. We want to start off with the big discussions this morning, and allow me to introduce my panelists. NC Fwamba, who's a political commentator. Karibu sana and good morning. Wilson Sosion, veteran educationist, a unionist, and a former member of the National Assembly, joins us this morning as well. You've been in the papers this week. There are some people who are very uncomfortable about your possible candidature. Are you heading back to the KNUT? That's the question. Let's start from there, Bwana Sosion.
Good morning first.
Yes.
We can get into that later.
Good morning. Are you heading back to the KNUT?
No, the fact is, I've got a solid foundation, global experience in trade union matters and in education issues, and of course, solid foundation in education leadership. It is election season for trade unions, and the fact of the matter and fact of the provisions of Article 41 of the Constitution is that I'm eligible to be elected as the Secretary General of any of the trade unions in the country. That's a fact.
Are you going to present yourself as a candidate for SG of KNUT?
Can we have Christmas close the year? And then when it gets to that time, we will know.
All right, fair enough. Dr. Peter Mbaye also joins us this morning. Dr. Mbaye is a Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP, and will be coming to discuss issues around DCP and the discomfort that they now feel with the return of a stronger Jubilee Party. So, but before all that, and now that Bwana Sosion has more or less just fallen short of declaring his candidature for SGKNUT, let's leave that discussion for a later date.
And I've not declared.
Yes, you're yet to declare. Yes, we shall not misquote.
There are a lot of conversations. Don't put words on my mouth.
Yes.
And I have said very clearly, I am eligible.
Yes.
I'm a member of UDA by subscription and by registration. I'm a member of Kenya National Union of Teachers by association and by subscription. In fact, I've subscribed up to 2026 June. So I'm the most loyal member of Kenya National Union of Teachers.
All right.
So those are facts.
Those are facts.
Other things will fall in place as
after Christmas.
We move forward.
Yes, so do wait for a bigger announcement after Christmas on whether or not you'll be presenting yourself as a candidate.
I think you're asking too much.
No, I'm not asking. I've not even asked you a question now.
Let's concentrate on the matters that brought us to this show.
It is a serious.
We have matters that brought us to this show.
It's also a fact, Fred.
It is a fact that it was in the dailies that the current SG of KNUT, Bwana Collins Oyuru, asked teachers not to entertain any candidature from Bwana Sosion. That was already in the dailies this week, so it's not something we can ignore.
It's also a fact that at TSC there's a vacancy because the CEO is acting, and Sosion has applied to be the CEO of TSC. Okay. So it's a fact. So our colleague here has so many options on the table that he can choose to go for. Right. And we wish him the best, by the way. He's one of the top brains on education matters. And he's passionate about education anyway.
Yes.
So we wish him the best, whichever option he goes for. But for me, definitely, I would encourage him because his being NAT is in the past, should go to the future. maybe try, do something managerial at that level. Okay. He can serve teachers more at TSC.
Than at KNUT.
Because he did that already. Okay. We want people to move on. Move to the next challenge. Instead of going back, people will feel like there are other teachers who should come back and become the SG of NAT. But Sosion also, he's quite capable. He's at professional level. He's just defended his PhD. So he can as well go to that management at that professional level.
Yes.
So we wish him the best, whichever method he goes for. Right. For me, I will encourage him to move forward. If it's possible to go to the
Any opinion on that matter?
Of course, Honorable Sosion is a very seasoned leader in this country. He's been a member of parliament, was a very credible Secretary General of NAT, well known all over the country. And I wish him well. And I expect that teachers will also respond to that kind of gesture if he ever declares. And the two options that are coming his way, if any of them comes first, good for him, and we'll support him for that.
All right.
Yeah.
So best of wishes to
It is good to start a morning by people discussing your next stop of life.
Yes.
So
it is a reality.
Let me leave it to you.
Yes.
No, it was very sad. I mean, Sosion missed the PS. I mean, he was supposed to be. We expected all of us. We had even actually almost beaten him farewell from this show.
There's a possible cabinet reshuffle coming up. You never know.
Yeah, he has. I mean,
and there was a CAS position.
If there's a man who has served, this government, literally, right from the campaign time, Sosion deserved something because he rises over.
All right.
He's seen as somebody who understands the docket.
All right.
The only problem, and I think that's why he may have missed PS. People think he knows too much and they may be comfortable. I'm uncomfortable. The people there who, if he became PS, he would know everything, right from teacher management to everything about education. Some people may have felt that if he comes there, he is going to overcrowd them. All and that's why he may have missed the PS. Again, merit doesn't always work in this country. I know.
Okay.
It doesn't always work.
Ambrose Adongo, of course, is Sosion. Yeah.
All right.
Those are the most well-known.
You can hear the sentiments even from the panelists. And I know it's rare to get an analysis of yourself on the same panel.
You're not afraid to be analyzed by your own fellow panelists. Yeah. It's a very strange thing. But I think it's good to be discussed in that positive manner. And I believe in this country. I believe in education. I believe in teachers. I believe in transformation of the country through quality education delivered by well-supported teachers in the classroom. That is my belief.
All right. Let's focus on the dailies now. And the two top dailies, that's the Daily Nation and the Standard, more or less have the same theme. On the Daily Nation, we have our torture ordeal, and this is a narration of what happened to Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo, the activists who admittedly, and this is an admission by President Museveni, were held in Uganda for 39 days. They were finally released, and they gave their account of events of what happened while they were in captivity in Uganda. On the Standard has flipped the coin and turned their attention to the chief diplomat, Kenya's chief diplomat, and that is a Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi, calling him a weak-kneed diplomat who is more concerned in appeasing the regional leaders than protecting Kenya's interests beyond our borders. That is where we want to start our conversation this morning. It is also part of the stories covered here at TV47, the narrative by Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo. Let's watch that story, then come back and discuss this weak-kneed diplomacy.
And who are the people? We are the people.
What may sound like fiction was a living nightmare for activist Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo.
I left him in the cell and he asked me, Bob,
The two, who endured 38 days of detention in Uganda under circumstances rights groups have described as deeply troubling.
From the moment they picked us to the moment they released us, the Ugandan government has been denying having us in custody.
The duo recounted harrowing details of their ordeal, alleging they were held incommunicado by Uganda's military special forces at Kasenyi Barracks in Entebbe.
It is the son, Muhozi, who is undertaking these crimes against humanity. They have been undertaken at the Special Forces Command Center in Kasenyi. That is a training ground for the presidential security team.
After a long hunt by the Ugandan forces on Wednesday, 1st October at around 10 a.m., Bob Misheninjagi and Nicholas Uyo were in the hands of the abductors.
At 10 o'clock in the morning, about 7 armed men, heavily armed military men, confronted us, and one of them introduced himself as an officer and said that we need to go with you, you need to come with us. And when I saw the formation, I knew that we have to comply, otherwise we might even expose ourselves to more danger.
Not knowing their fate, the duo were taken by 7 men suspected to be Uganda's military special forces at Kasenyi Barracks in Entebbe. Here, they were held in Communicado for 23 days, where they were blindfolded, chained and repeatedly assaulted by Ugandan security officers who accused them of working with opposition leader Bobi Wine to incite unrest in Uganda.
We are the people. And who are the people? We are the people.
Describing their detention as a total lockdown inside a safe house where they were cut off from sunlight, fresh air and the outside world, the two say they were transferred to another cell where they were held for 14 days.
I was tied to something like this, and I was whipped severally. And they could ask me questions about some of those groups that we were in.
And after the 2 weeks in isolation, the two activists were eventually moved under guard to Kasenyi Barracks in Kampala, where they met Kenya's ambassador to Uganda, to whom they were handed to before being moved to Busia, where they were processed and later released.
We are the people. And who are the people? We are the people.
Samira Mohammed for TV 47, Nairobi.
The insecurity situation in Tanzania continues to worsen, forcing several citizens, including opposition figures, to flee the country following a wave of anti-government demonstrations. A group led by Chadema's Director of Organization, Training and Elections recounted harrowing experiences of escaping the country at night, describing what they called a deepening political crisis.
Familia na nimekimbia usiku wa manane sababu ya hofu ya kuuawa, na nazungumza hapa nawakilisha maelfu ya vijana.
The group claims that over 600 people are currently facing treason-related charges, while more than 10,000 have already been killed in the ongoing unrest.
Mwezi Aprili, tarehe 24 mwezi Aprili mwaka huu, nilivunjwa mguu wangu na mamlaka za serikali waliotuteka wakaenda kututesa kule Ununio na baadaye kututupa poli la Pande.
Lakini hawana uwezo wa kuendesha hizo kesi licha ya maumivu ya kupoteza ndugu zao, lakini bado wanaendelea kusota mahakamani kwenye kesi za watoto wao.
I'm also condemning the Kenya government for having recognized this woman who has breached protocols of humanity.
They are appealing for calm as opposition leaders continue to challenge President Samia Suluhu Hassan's election victory in court. Meanwhile, during a quarterly briefing on Kenya's foreign policy, Foreign Affairs CS Musalia Mudavadi revealed that at least 3 Kenyans remain in police custody in Tanzania, 2 in Arusha and 1 in Dar es Salaam.
However, there are 2 unresolved cases. One, a Kenyan by the name John Ogutu was shot dead on 29th October.
Wajakoya also urged Kenya's opposition to issue a statement in solidarity with Tanzanians, emphasizing that the government has both a moral and legal obligation to protect those fleeing persecution. Paul Kirobi, TV 47.
An interesting dichotomy of events across the region. On one hand, Kenyans complaining about how they were ill-treated on crossing the border into Uganda. On the other side, we're seeing Tanzanian youth crossing the border to seek refuge in Kenya. And now, what happens on the front page of the Standard is an indictment of the person who's supposed to be in charge of our foreign affairs. Foreign Affairs CS was also the Prime Cabinet Secretary. We've seen him addressing the media yesterday, but he's being accused here of being more or less leaning towards appeasing regional leaders than protecting Kenyans abroad. Do you feel that this headline probably is a bit too harsh on Mudavadi? Fwamba, let's start with that.
Of course, it's extremely harsh, but I will start with, first of all, recognizing the fact that Nicholas Oyo is my very personal friend. We've known each other for many years. We used to write letters to the editor before we interacted. And it is unfortunate and sad that they were abducted and tortured together with Bob Jagi in Uganda. And we also thank God that they came out alive. We heard the kind of ordeal they went through, and that's totally unacceptable in the modern world. Because in as much as every country has its own laws, we are not exclusive in terms of being countries. We are, they say the world is a global village. So in as much as they have their own laws, they also need to recognize the international laws that to protect human rights. And that's where Uganda as a country is culpable as far as the case of Bob Jagi and Nicholas Oyo is concerned. Now, back to the headline, I do not think if that is really accurate, because what is diplomacy? You know, diplomacy is about relating in a diplomatic manner. So there are a lot of things that usually happen behind the closed doors that work in diplomatic circles. And it should be appreciated that most of the outcomes of their release or the interventions that have been done, including issues concerning Tanzania, are being worked on without necessarily having to be declared publicly, because there are options of dealing with such situations. But since we believe that Uganda and Tanzania are supposed to be our friendly neighbors, we have a cordial relationship, we are supposed to have diplomatic approaches in dealing with the issues. You cannot say that the PCS is weak-kneed when we even saw when they were released, they were handed over to the Ugandan High Commissioner, the ambassador to Uganda, His Excellency Maangi, is the one who brought them up to the border. So that means that the government was fully involved in behind closed doors negotiations towards having our friends being released and getting back to the country.
Yes, yet even beyond just being closest neighbors, we are within the East African community. Our passports read East Africa, not Kenya, meaning that we are allowed to cross the border into either Tanzania or Uganda freely. If Uganda felt that these two individuals had committed a crime, the best thing would have been to subject them to the laws of the land. They did not. And simply crossing the border, can that be considered a crime?
No, it's not a crime. In fact, the intra-African trade envisages the complete removal of borders and barriers and allow people to move freely across the continent to engage in various activities, both economic and others. First, let me comment about this headline. Whoever has made this headline is trying to suggest that we must have militant diplomacy, rabble-rousing diplomacy across board. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't. Diplomacy is about calculated, cool, effective negotiations that secures lives of citizens abroad and gets them back home, like what has happened in Uganda. This is a plus to the government to get our citizens back to the country alive. Then back to the political development of the East African community, because it started with the economic integration, movement of goods, common passports. Now we are talking about a common currency, and then we'll talk about political integration eventually. And we've seen the political engagements, the activists trying to build a common agenda within the East Africa. And Kenya stands out as the most democratic country. In fact, I have always stated it's a democratic superpower in the world compared to our peers. And we cannot expect Kenya to engage in rabble-rousing relations, any government of Kenya, now to engage in rabble-rousing relations with the neighbors because of delicate relations.
Even when the welfare of Kenyans is
on other frontiers. But Kenyans are free to move across Africa and within East Africa and maximize on the protocols that are already signed on free move. We have teachers in Tanzania, in Uganda, in Rwanda, particularly Kiswahili teachers in Uganda and Rwanda. And we are now having South Sudan, we have teachers in Somalia. So this free movement of people must be guaranteed, but then they must be secure. Our people should be secure wherever they are. And where they have violated laws of that particular country, they must be presented in the courts of those countries. But you can't kill citizens, abduct them, hide them. It's not right. It's not right. And I think the protocols of the cooperation are very clear. If they are not, then they should be revised on how citizens are handled. Those who commit crimes, if a Tanzanian commit crimes in Kenya, that Tanzanian must be arrested, and if there are diplomatic engagements to reparate that Tanzanian, let it be done. But I think what is key as we grow towards an East African political federation is that we must embrace democracy. That one, we should not be shy to talk about it. We would expect a more democratic Tanzania, a more democratic Uganda, a more democratic Rwanda. I know that is what people fear talking about, and authorities in those respective countries may not want to listen to it. We expect a more democratic Burundi, more democratic Congo, more democratic South Sudan, more democratic Somalia. And if you look at all the members of East African community, in terms of democratic level, they are miles away from Kenya.
Okay.
And that's the challenge we have. But still, we must live and associate with them.
Dr. Mbaye, and probably the expectation by the journalists who penned down this story is that at least from our Foreign Affairs office is probably get a protest note when a Kenyan's welfare or well-being is grossly violated by any administration across the border, that at least there would be a protest, a formal protest from our Foreign Affairs Ministry. Lack of that, and Kenyans feel that this is a weak-need diplomat. Do you agree?
Indeed, this is very much, this is weak need. Not able to do anything, but I don't blame the PCS. Why are people blaming the PCS? PCS is a man who, you know, he's just there. He's not able to do anything to say much. He's not able to articulate anything. Kenya is ruled by you cannot say anything as a minister before consulting. You must ask, what do I say? Okay? So this is the position of the ruling elite in Kenya. It's not about PCS. Don't blame the minister around your PSS. I know. They can't. There are some things they cannot. They must go and ask, what do I say? And so, because the whole issue about this conspiracy is something being ran, you know, by the president here, you can see there's a lot of good communication happening by Samia, with Yoweri Museveni, and the current president. The moment you saw our young people being caught, being taken for terrorism charges, in Tanzania, they are being arrested, taken for treason. You get that? Now, the same thing is happening in Uganda. Look at what's happening. So they are exchanging notes every day and night. So me, I cannot blame. The Mudavadi has never been an outspoken person. These are not people who are going to say, I'm going to start with my country, despite at the risk of my job.
Are you saying he's the wrong man for the job?
No, Musalia cannot do much. I don't know why people had expectation all the way about Musalia Mudavadi. He's been there. The man just came. He was picked from university, became a minister at 29, and just been there. He's been picked, go out, you know, picked by Raila, brought back to government like that. And don't expect much from Musalia Mudavadi especially. His personality and character do not allow you to think more about him. So all this, I'm very sure, is something that was scripted, said, please say this, don't say this. Let me give you an example. To date, John Ogutu's body, John Ogutu is a Kenyan. Assuming it was America. One citizen from America, everything will stop to go and get that body. Mm-hmm. Now, we hear the bodies that, I don't know the numbers again, we're waiting for reports from CNN or something else. The bodies were taken to hospital.
Which bodies are we talking about?
I mean, in Tanzania, for example. Mm-hmm. We don't know the number. But now then, they removed them to conceal evidence. So we don't know where the body of John Ogutu is. Now, as Kenya, we should make sure, and by the way, if the government cannot push for the body of John Ogutu to come back, we want to urge all the international organizations, everybody to go to court, whichever court, East African, Africa, wherever, to go and exhume that body from wherever they put it. Because we cannot allow our man to disappear in a foreign country. You see, these are the things the government should be doing. If they are talking about what I call soft diplomacy. Let the soft diplomacy bring back the body of John Ogutu. That's all what we are saying. You cannot come and subdue the sovereignty and the rights of your people, of the Kenyan people, because you want to please other people because of trade. Otherwise, you'll be pushed out. Look at the jokes the president of Museveni is talking about Kenya. When we are all seated here, that is going to, never mind. These are all called pre-election pledges. You know, he must excite Ugandans that is going to invade Kenya and take over Indian Ocean because of elections coming in January. Or trying to divert pressure. You know, they talk a lot at night to divert Kenya's pressure from what is happening in Tanzania, by focusing ourselves to Uganda and the Indian Ocean thing. Ignore all that. This is their own campaigns doing. We are not scared about that. But the point is, Fred, this is very, very sad. Now, look at who intervened according to Museveni. It is the former president who called him. It's not the current, not the current government.
Not the foreign affairs minister.
Yes, because all the spokesmen for this government, including Cherargei and others, spokesmen for this government, the real spokesmen, forget about Mudavadi. Mudavadi are there to get 5-year calls and all that. The real spokesmen, the people who you talk and know they have talked that in the
so
evening.
Contemptuous, huh?
Those people who spoke, Cherargei is on record, and people of his like, say that we congratulate Samia Suluhu for arresting Akina Boniface Mwangi, for doing what he's doing with Kenyans there, and Museveni for arresting Bob Jage and Nicholas Oyo. If it was left to the current government, Nicholas Oyo, Bob Jage would have suffered a lot in Uganda. Okay. So what are we then talking about our foreign policy? Let us balance security of Kenyans with our trade relations.
All right.
That's what I say.
Let's take a short break. When we come back, I'll give you an opportunity to continue this conversation. You're watching Morning Cafe, and we're looking at the big headlines. The Standard weak-kneed diplomat, and they have his knees there on the front page of the Standard. Don't ask me any other question. It is there on the front page. We'll be back.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Ila mimi simpa. Hiyo naona nakubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Foreke tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Foreke is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Yaani wewe furahia umekaa na kasukuni.
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indimuli. I'm still in studio with Dr. Peter Mbai, Wilson Sosion, and Fwamba NC Fwamba. We want to finalize on this story about Kenya's diplomacy, which has been described on the front page of the Standard as weak-kneed. And this simply because they say that Foreign Affairs CS is more inclined towards appeasing the regional leaders as opposed to ensuring that the rights and welfare of Kenyans outside Kenya are protected. And there could be some truth to it. We've seen the kind of pronouncements that the presidents are making. Samia Suluhu Hassan, Yoweri Museveni, they're not really interested in toning down or even measuring their words. Even Museveni said, we are going to go to war. Okay, fine, he did not mention Kenya. But why are we insisting that from our end we have to be very soft when it comes to diplomacy and dealing with these two nations?
I think our democracy, as even Mwalimu Sosion said, is advanced compared to the two countries. And I think that's the approach Honorable Davide has taken and the whole government has taken. For as long as we focus on the results, it's much more important than the process. We do not expect our government to raid Uganda to go and release our people who are abducted. We also don't expect us to take our army to Tanzania to intervene or to bring our people. But I've seen even the Prime Cabinet Secretary coming out and making pronouncements on the situation in Tanzania. And he has also demonstrated a willingness to get results or get answers from the Tanzanian government about the bodies of our foreign nationals, our nationals, our people. So I think the government is doing its part. And it's not, as Dr. Mbai said, that the government is making a weak approach. A civilized country operates differently and it works within the framework of the law. I also think that the people who abducted Nicholas Oyo and Bob Jagi have an opportunity to also seek redress. And at the same time, the government also can do a protest, can lodge a protest against the government of Uganda. That's also part of the diplomatic protest.
Shouldn't they have done so by now? Because that is why they are being called weak-kneed. They have these tools that at their disposal that they are yet to use.
It is not too late. I think there's still time for that to happen. But now, on the side of violation of human rights, I was talking about the international laws, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948, to which Uganda is a signatory. If the laws of Uganda cannot protect the rights of our people who are abducted, then the international law is supposed to be invoked for these rights to be addressed. Of course, the Ugandan law under the Penal Code 120, Chapter 120 of the laws of Uganda, provides for redress in case of human rights violations like torture and arbitrary arrest and abduction, that they are supposed to get intervention on that basis. And also Article 50 of the Constitution of Uganda gives room for them to petition the Ugandan courts for that to be addressed. But unfortunately, it usually says that you cannot take a goat to appear before the court of a hyena to get justice. Mm-hmm. So in that case, we have options, including the East African Court of Justice, the African Human Rights and People's Rights Convention. Those laws are supposed to protect the people who are abducted. Yes. And I think that intervention is good enough that is advised to our people.
We saw a story there where young Tanzanian youth are seeking refuge in Kenya. And that's the expectation that if I feel that my rights are being violated here in the country, I can cross over to Uganda and seek asylum there. But what we are seeing now is that Kenyans in Tanzania, Kenyans in Uganda are feeling that they're not safe. without proper intervention or something that where we can seek proper redress, that could end up undermining this dream of the East African community, don't you think?
East African dream is a reality that must come through, and it must be achieved. We cannot walk backwards because of democratic practices that are not working right in some member states. And as I stated earlier on, it is not going to be possible to achieve the political federation if we don't improve the democratic practices in the member states. The member states must promote democratic ideals and practices. And this is a tall order for Kenya to mentor those countries and to midwife the processes. And it's complicated when you are dealing with authorities of another sovereign state. It's not an easy thing. Look, for example, securing the lives of those two young men in Uganda. And they've narrated where they were. They were in a military camp. They were confined in a military camp with another 150 political remandees, 150 political remandees. And of course, contrary to what Mba is talking about, they were handed over to Kenya's ambassador to Uganda. They were not handed over to someone else who is not in government, meaning the government of Kenya has been involved and concerned about the welfare of those people, even though they were engaged in other activities which are not economic, it's political.
But they're allowed to cross over?
Of course they're allowed, they're free. And that is why Kenyan government has the responsibility of ensuring that any citizen who moves anywhere in any other country is secured, provided they've not committed any serious criminal offense. Of course, these two, Bob Njagi and the other one, they've come back to Kenya. But there is an onerous task of ensuring that elections in the member states are democratic, free, and fair, because that will give the foundation of peace. It's a fact for sure. Tanzania, when Nyerere stepped down as president, and that was the first president in Africa to step down, he was setting a pace for democratic practices and term limit. But then what we have witnessed in these elections, we agree fundamentally it's not right in terms of minimum threshold of human rights standards and democracy. That one, it is not in doubt. And you can't expect the Kenyan government to go to the media and condemn. That cannot happen.
But the situation cannot be that Kenya cannot just accept what happens at whatever level.
No, it's not a question of accepting. We agree it is not right. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. That fundamentally is not right. We cannot have the young men from Tanzania coming for refuge in Kenya. After an election, the citizens should be able to live freely without any threat of fear. Of course, Tanzanian elections were not free and fair whatsoever. It's a fact. That is known and has created an intra-Tanzania political challenge that the post-election situation has deteriorated to serious levels of insecurity. And that affects both the Tanzanians and non-Tanzanians living in Tanzania, which includes Kenya. That's a reality. Okay. That's a reality. And Uganda is going for elections in January. We don't know what will happen. South Sudan has no government, no working government. They have not conducted elections since 2011. And you know, South Sudan peace, the comprehensive peace agreement, was procured by Kenya. Okay. We did that as Kenya. But how many years down the line? 15 years they have not conducted elections. And when any nation calling itself a democracy or free country does not promote democratic practices, including allowing people to exercise their sovereign power and decision at the ballot, then the next clear thing is what we call anarchy. And as Kenya, we would not wish to see anarchy promoted in our neighboring states.
I want us to
Democracy must be promoted and protected.
They've talked about a looming cabinet reshuffle. Do you think if there's an opportunity to change a few things, that probably this should not be the man sitting at the helm of our Foreign Affairs Ministry? Do you think that someone else would do a better job?
Allow me first, just for a minute, just to mention two things only. One, let me be very clear. As students of leadership and government, and especially international diplomacy, we are very worried. One, we are not saying that we expected Kenya to go and raid Uganda to free Bob Jagi. Even a letter of protest didn't come by, okay? Now, when Mudavadi spoke about issues about some Kenyans arrested in Tanzania, others released, he spoke about John Ogutu, and he stood there as a representative of government saying, we don't know where the body of John. Now, if you don't know, and we pay taxes to you, how do you expect the family to know? You know, it's so sad. You don't come as a representative of government, come and say we don't know, and you are addressing the press. How do you expect the family which is in Kenya to go and look for the body in Tanzania if you don't know and you're not giving any answers? But number two, now, you ask a very good question which I want to answer in a nutshell. Why are we soft on Uganda and Tanzania? It's because, Fred, there is a conspiracy between the East African countries to impact or affect the elections that are coming up. We were the first to endorse Suluhu's win, completely. When everybody else all the way to the international community said there was no elections, we actually sent our deputy president to endorse the win. Why? Because we expect Tanzania to reciprocate in 2027, when we expect to have elections here and support the government that is sitting here by whichever means to take over power. Now, that is why whatever is happening in Uganda again, look at the people, look at what's happened to Bob Wine and all that, you know, arrest and all that. Then we cannot attack them because we expect to support them in January, then they are going to support us next time. So it's a conspiracy of silence of trying to affect the will of the people during elections, just to answer. But let me say something. I'm asking Tundu Lissu. I began seeing exactly what happened in Kenya. Look at the parallels. Look at the parallels. You come, she was told, go and take over the presidency, invite the opposition. I want to tell Tundu Lissu and all the Chadema people, please don't go to the table. That is a poisoned chalice. Don't attempt. It's either fresh elections are held in Tanzania or just leave it. Because when you go that direction, then you cannot go and begin signing documents on the lives of people who are not accounted for, who have not been buried, whose bodies we don't know where they are. I'm just saying this, that there's a very bad trade going on in East Africa. I want to tell Kenyans, let's start firm. We are one of the best countries, I think number 3 or 4 in Africa, one of the best in the world. But I can tell you, any bad manners will not be tolerated by the people of Kenya. We had our bad experiences in the past. I look at a point, Fred, where we are going to stick together. Let us avoid being interfered with by our leaders, who will not be here when violence happens in this country. Let's move on together. Let everybody vote where they are, peacefully. Let us resist the interference. We vote, votes will be counted. Kenya is not like any other country. So, right. But to answer your question, Fred, I will not be surprised by another cabinet reshuffle. You know why? The lifespan of ministers in Kenya came from 2.5. That is normal. You know, like the Kibaki time. You have a 5-year term. It's called midterm review. Midterm review, you can say this minister, we can move them here. You know, normal. In this government, they came from 2.5 years, the normal, to 1 year, 6 months, 4 months. Today, no minister is sure he'll last another week. Because if another person from your own area is deemed to be more politically variable than yourself, you go home. I can tell you today, you expect anything with this government. Anything.
The question is, would another person or different person do anything better than Mudavadi?
I can tell you what? They wouldn't. Because it's not about them. We have very brilliant minds. I must tell you that. We have good sons and daughters sitting in cabinet today. But all of them, they must go and queue and ask for permission to do whatever they're supposed to do in their dockets. Right. And like what happened with Kibaki, he will allow you to go work, just come, consult, and then tell you, go and announce and do press conferences and do whatever you're supposed to do. So me, I cannot blame Mudavadi. Right. I blame the systems and the structure that is existing.
All right. Kenya's diplomacy, especially with immediate neighbors, Uganda and Tanzania, the point of contention there, weak-kneed diplomats, that's the front page of the Standard. Don't think that we're just being too harsh on Mudavadi. We just look at the headlines here, nothing much. Our torture ordeal, that's the front page of the Daily Nation. Definitely, it is the biggest talking point. Back home, something interesting is happening at the coast. ODM party marking its 20th anniversary, starting today all the way till Sunday. 4 days of celebration for the ODM party. A time of reflection. I know the party did not anticipate that they would be doing this without their party leader, Raila Odinga. So much has been talked about, especially following the death of the former Prime Minister, and a lot of pilgrimage. We've seen many people going to Bondo, but now the focus moves away from Bondo to something else. And according to one of the cartoons, they have caricatured ODM as an orange, but already blindfolded by UDA party. Do you agree that yes, it is a turning point for this party? And probably the events of the next few days could determine a lot going forward about the future of the party?
I think initially, when the Prime Minister was still around, the late Prime Minister, the 20th anniversary celebrations were meant to prepare themselves for the 2027 elections. But today, the agenda is still the same, preparation for the 2027 elections, but in a different context. They are going to explore opportunities that are available within the existing arrangement, especially the broad-based government, and the way forward, especially on how they are going to engage with UDA in 2027. I'm not seeing them thinking outside that arrangement, because as far as the situation is concerned, ODM is much more comfortable within the current setup with partnership with UDA. And the whole setup is meant to cement their authority in preparation for 2027, so that they look at how many parliamentary seats they can get and the terms of engagement. It's also interesting that they invited the sitting president, President William Ruto, who is a founding member of ODM. They were together in 2005 when they came up with the Orange Democratic Movement after the referendum of November 5th, 2005. So when he joins them, he'll be like at home. He's like a part of the membership.
Don't you think that kind of influence?
And again, it's so obvious that the friendship is inclined towards him, because Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, also having been a founder member, was invited, and he publicly declared that he was not going to attend. He declined. He had been invited privately by the late Honorable Raila Odinga, but he decided to make it public that he was not going to attend. So it's obvious that there's a likelihood that they are going to cement the kind of alliance that is there between UDA and ODM, and it will be a very serious political machine going forward towards 2027.
Yes. Of course, there are very notable dissenting voices from what he says ODM has already agreed on. And having a politician the level with the gravitas that the president has, that could be a lot of influence in a party that has lost its main point of reference.
I think those who are critical and selfish about the alliance of ODA and UDA will try and poke holes.
Why would you call that selfish?
Yeah, it is, because people feel defeated when they see two mighty parties coming together. Then it means you will be crushed politically. That's a fact. And let me say it here. ODM at 20 is a big celebration. It's not very easy in post-multi-party era in Kenya to have a political party that has put in place structures within itself, both the democratic policy that has sustained itself for a period of over 20 years. And this the president has recognized, and that is why he has engaged with ODM. And that is why there are 5 ministers of ODM in government, and there are 17 PSS of ODM. So essentially, ODM is part of the government of the Republic of Kenya. And the president was very clear when he spoke at the funeral. And he said that he is not going to allow anybody to disorganize ODM. And he said very clearly, ODM must be protected to remain strong, even as we move towards 2027 elections. And the president said very clearly, ODM will form government or will be part of the next government. Those were very clear statements, and the president was very clear about it. And when ODM party invites him for the event on Saturday, and he does attend, he's doing so within the framework of cooperation and with an historical fact that he was a member of Pentagon of ODM. And of course, when the president moved out of ODM to form URP, he fashioned a party similar to ODM, which eventually changed to the current UDA. And when you look at the philosophies of ODM and UDA, they are the same, social democratic parties. And so the president is at home, and ODM, and so do the members of ODM. They are indeed at home with the engagement with the president. And so going into 2027, that is what you call symbologics in philosophy. ODM and UDA will be in partnership in the next general election. And the presidential candidate for that coalition will be President William Ruto, who will be re-elected. That is a fact, and that is the truth.
It is also a fact that ODM is going into these celebrations a much subdued party than the kind of party we saw in 2022. Dr. Mbai, the party appears to have lost a bit of its support base in Western Kenya especially, and more looking like a party from one region. And this probably plays out, especially when it comes to the by-elections in 2 weeks' time, that the only candidates from ODM, I think most of them are from Luo Nyanza, apart from one, I think, at the coast. Yes. That changes the game a lot for ODM going forward.
Fred, this is what I think. One, what President Ruto was bargaining for when he took Raila Odinga on board was Azimio. That was then. He was looking for the 6 million votes that he got. But today, with Western gone, Kisii gone.
Which Western is gone?
Which Western is gone? A lot of Masai gone. Ukambani gone. A lot of Mijikenda gone. He's dealing with a section.
Western is fully in President Ruto's column.
Right? And a bit of Kisii because of Alati and Johor now a bit. So he's dealing with a small fraction of what he had hoped for. That's number one. Number two, I think from my thinking, President Ruto is in a very, he's like an orphan right now. Because the men he had hoped would at least keep the ODM near government, the man is no longer there. He's a guy, at least Raila would have taken it like another 1 year, giving hopes. Of course, he was going to vote out later. But at least would have made it easier for him. But now he's an orphan because Raila is no longer there. And you can hear the people who are left there, Ida Odinga. Look at her, her demeanor and her character and personality and body language when people visit her. Look at Luth, look at Oburu, look at Orengo, look at the other people. They are now feeling more, able to talk their own minds. Look at Sifuna and Baba Wino. So, but they want to be nice to the president because he's a president and he requested to be invited. He requested, he's been saying he's a founder member. Please remember me. Please invite me to the founder dinner. Yes, he is on record saying he wants to discipline some people.
There are better lies to tell.
So now, I will not be surprised, Fred, that actually President Ruto has already made a request to vie on ODM. I will not be surprised.
Where do you get that?
Because he's capable, he's completely, as we speak politically. Let's go to the point. Politically right now, the most exposed president on earth is President Ruto. Politically exposed. Because he threw out the people who give him 47%. Okay, right now remaining about 2% from Mount Kenya.
How?
Now, he doesn't have Ukambani. Look at how bitter he was yesterday. Literally, completely. Even going to abuse Kalonzo Musyoka in his backyard to say Hana Akiri. What kind of desperation is that? Somebody, we actually, the people who say that we need to pray for our leaders, they need to do right now because it's very serious. So what am I saying? They are being nice. ODM is being nice to the president because he's the president. Okay. He'll invite him for the dinner. I can tell you seated here today. I like what he says, seated here. Let me also say seated here. Seated here today, I can tell you, those people who will be celebrating with the president at ODM at 20, 80% will not vote for him.
All right.
That one I can tell you.
And we do have live pictures there, courtesy of Azimio TV. The SGR terminus here in Nairobi, quite a number of people, supporters of the ODM party, traveling to the venue of the 20th anniversary celebrations in Mombasa for this. ODM at 20 celebrations, and you can see the kind of excitement there. But Wanafwamba, you seem to dispute the fact that ODM appears to have lost a bit of its support in Western Kenya. Why? What do you base that assertion on?
ODM has lost some of its support in Western, but to who? I think most of the ODM support that has been lost has gone to UDA. For example, you see like Governor Oparanya was very influential in terms of ODM in Kakamega County in particular. Now Oparanya is part of President Ruto's government, and therefore all the persuasive power that he held in Kakamega under ODM will automatically be under President Ruto, who is the leader of UDA. But now, back to something totally...
now that you say that, allow me to say that the chief whip in the Senate comes from that same region, the majority whip. And he, especially when it comes to this upcoming by-elections, is supporting a candidate from a different party.
Of course,
he has a UDA member.
Of course, he has his own reasons, but we are looking at the presidential race. When you look at the presidential race, anyone who has presidential ambitions will support President William Ruto in the coming election. And Western is expected to produce the next president in 2032. And as it prepares that way, the assumption is that if you support President Ruto, he'll be there for 5 years. You will not compete with him in 2032. But if you support any other person, it will be so automatic that in 2032, that person will be going for a second term. And that means that the Western area will have to wait for 10 years more. So for that reason, there is much convincing power to support President Ruto as opposed to any other candidate, as things stand today.
All right.
So those are the presidential level. At the county level, especially the Malava by-elections and the decisions people have taken are purely based on the local politics that are there. For example, you've seen Malala and Halwale, who are supposed to oppose each other in the gubernatorial position, supporting one candidate.
The choice for ODM to not fill a candidate in Malava, that's a huge one, given the fact that ODM was the biggest party in that region.
And now that's where we talk about Governor Oparanya being under President Ruto's government. So for the convincing power of ODM, it was better off for them to support the UDA candidate based on the broad-based arrangement. Yeah.
So, but it is right to say that ODM is going into these celebrations a much more subdued party than it was in 2022. If we can just look at the matrix, what we've discussed about Western Kenya now.
ODM is going into these celebrations much stronger and much more positioned.
Why would you base your answer on?
Malava seat was held by Malulu Injendi of ANC. And ANC since merged with UDA. And so, in the Western political matrix, it was reasonable for ODM to leave it to UDA because that was their tradition, that was previously held by, indeed, UDA. And that's an agreement. And in politics of collaboration and coalitions, you must respect the traditional base of the other party. There is a strong organic combination of ODM membership and UDA backyards and Kenya Kwanza, very strongly, and it's very organic. The president is doing it. We saw the president in Western, and in Western Kenya, the president has managed to demonstrate the policy and political pillars of the broad-based government, both ODM and Kenya Kwanza, very strongly, by putting people together organically at the grassroots. And that has happened in Western. And we will see when it gets to Malava. It doesn't matter. There are people who can take diametrically opposed positions in those regions. But that is their political right. But that does not mean they have influenced the people at that level. ODM in this by-election, you will see them bagging Ugenya seat very comfortable.
That's exactly what
and bagging Kasibul Kapondo and bagging Magarini in Coast Region. And this will be clear signals that ODM has remained strong, and even with the coalition with the broad-based, it is more assured. It is now in government. It's not going into elections in 2027 being in government, ODM is already in government.
But the president appears to have seen a weakness
the only
here,
thing
ODM
that needs to be done.
And Raila Odinga running for president for the last 3-4 elections has depended a lot on support from other regions, especially Ukambani. And that's why the president is going to Ukambani.
Yeah, of course, there were coalitions.
He realize that ODM as it is right now may not be enough.
Of course, there were coalitions, and the president is engaged in organic activities, contrary to what Mbai has been talking about. We saw the president in Kajiado and Samburu, and it's quite palpable that those great pastoral communities are strongly inside and firmly within the broad-based government arrangement. And in those regions, that is where we had significant support also of ODM leadership. We saw the president yesterday in Ugambani, and today and tomorrow, and the president is working on a See Believe program of organically bringing Kenyans together and fighting the practice of exclusion and what some leaders are doing to consign some citizens outside the mainstream activities of government of the Republic of Kenya. And so when you look at what the president is doing, bringing the people together, even in unlikely backyards. When the president started visiting Nyanza way back before the broad-based, people wrote him off. But
you do agree.
People wrote him off.
You must agree, Dr. Mbayo, when
people
he says that
off.
What the president is after is probably the kind of support that formed Azimio. That he does realize that ODM alone may not give him that.
The president is not reasoning from political party angles. The president is reasoning from the bigger principle of uniting the country and restructuring the political architecture of this country and letting the people practice their democratic rights wherever they are without necessarily being consigned to ethnic fiefdoms. So when he spends a lot of time in Ukambani, he is communicating with the people. And by the way, the president has members of parliament of UDA in Ukambani. It is a fact. Okay. And he has other members from other friendly parties like Maendeleo Chapchap, and has a minister from Maendeleo Chapchap. Okay. And we have seen the president organically engaging the people directly in Ukambani, the way he did in Luo Nyanza. And let me tell you, this is one president who has been able to break the ceiling of selfish political parties' agenda of consigning people to their ethnic fiefdom.
The other big area of concern and support for the ODM party, and incidentally, that's where they've taken their celebrations, is the coast region. And I saw you shaking your head when he said that the Margarine by-election will definitely go to ODM. Are you saying that the support base for ODM in the coast region has also shifted?
I like the passion with which Hassan is talking. That's how we used to talk the first year. But you cannot talk that way the fourth year. You are supposed to do. People should be seeing results. You cannot talk so passionate about, uniting the nation, the one Kenya, everybody together. Those are stories now.
It's a continuous job.
Listen,
it's continuous.
You cannot say such kind of thing. People are paining when everything is corrupt. I don't want to hear that story. Ask me, because I know. All that is hogwash. It is skirmish. It will not work. All these stories you hear about Singapore and all that, please ask me. Nothing is going to happen. It's all another narrative. You go do 4 years, instead of giving a record of what you have done, basic things like SHA and education, you begin saying, I have another 3 things I want to do. Come on, please. People are very clever these days. People can see how SHA, completely, billions are getting lost.
That's just a pessimistic
Let me ask you, Fred. A woman from my village of Erbagon cannot have the access to come and steal money from SHA. It is the big boys who created SHA, who are stealing from SHA. Today we even don't know which system we are using in education. Stop it there. So let me ask you a question, Fred. One, Oparanya was one of the people who was supposed to be sacked if there was going to be a cabinet reshuffle, because he can see the ground is moving. This is
against Oparanya,
this is my
against Mudavadi.
Let me tell you.
What is wrong?
Let me tell you, Fred.
Listen, people.
You'll get an opportunity to challenge.
He mentioned Oparanya. I'm giving him something that I know. Number 2, Marava. The end of ODM, end was Marava. They were intimidated by not, yet they say, imagine, out of 11 MPs right now from Kakamega, 9, I think 10 are in ODM today. But they have been intimidated by UDA. How do you compare what UDA is doing in Western? We are going to see a proper thrashing during the by-elections. That one I can tell you today. And that will be the end of ODM in Western. To be taken over immediately by the united opposition, right? You can see Marara, it has been a debate here, but finally we are all together because we can see the bigger picture. Now, Magarini, you're going to see what's going to happen. Out of the by-elections, we are going to scoop Mbere, we are going to scoop Magarini, we are going to do Pulko in Kajiado, opposition now, we are going to do Narok Town, we are going to do 2 out of 3 in Kisii, the united opposition.
None of us is a prophet.
So I can tell you this.
Let us wait for 27.
Bungoma, we are going to take the united opposition. Kisa East, we are going to take. So what I can tell you is this. This is going to be the indication of what is going to happen. Now, but let me say this. Kalonzo, because the president is going to be there for 4 days, let me tell you something, just in 1 minute. How do you come and tell Kalonzo that right now he's a front runner for the united opposition ticket? One of the front runners, right? Then you come and tell him to come and queue to become a proposed DP for William Ruto, when already the same promise is made to Anga. You can see the sister, Ruth Odinga, is saying also she can vie for president, meaning she would also want to be a deputy president. You can see Musalia Mudavadi, our good man, harmless, just there. He's not being promised the deputy president. Kidiki is a presumptive for the Mount Kenya. Then Kalonzo comes and queues us at number 5, so that he can be humiliated again, to be asked to go for an interview which he fails. So let me tell you, and you see, the president believes everybody has a price. I can tell you today, Wavinya told us, he had been promised 3 billion, 2 CSs, and PSs. The president believes, even when he has messed up everything in this country, when he has messed up the Mount Kenya that gave him 47%, everybody has a price. He can go buy Kalonzo. Now let me tell you.
I want to give the gentleman an opportunity to challenge
something very interesting. Can I tell you something very interesting? If today God would appear to President Ruto in a dream and tell him to say a wish, is how he can get Rigathi Gachagua, give him back the job, take it from Kidiki back, give him back the job and limousines just to get the Mount Kenya vote in 27.
That
is how desperate.
The biggest
let
problem.
Me tell you, but I can tell you what.
We were talking about
but in the bit,
it's narrowing everything
I'm just
to
telling you.
Rigathi Gachagua.
I'm just telling you.
They have narrowed down.
So
that
finally,
everything is about Rigathi Gachagua.
Let me tell my point. I'll come to you.
Let me tell you. Kenyans said at 3 years, Ruto at 3, 75% disapproves of his leadership. I can tell you today, seated here, in a nutshell, by the time we go to the election,
which survey was that?
Our focus now is on ODM.
Yes, it's on ODM.
We need to deal with that.
No, he wants to speak.
We'll come to that. We'll come to DStv.
We'll have a disapproval.
Yes.
Now, Dr. Mbai is focusing so much on Rigathi Gachagua as having lost the job. Because Mount Kenya is intact as far as the government representation was concerned. In fact, there are more than 8 ministers, more than 17 PSs. Which other community has that kind of number? Just because Rigathi Gachagua lost the job as deputy president does not mean that Mount Kenya lost their opportunities. In any case, the other day I saw the president, the cabinet, passing, resolving that they are going to dual Kiambu Road. Kiambu Road is in Mount Kenya region. And the president, again, other than talking to Wananchi, he's working. Unlike what Rigathi Gachagua and the bandwagon is focused on, because they are focusing on politics all through and through. But the president is visiting every part of this country to ensure that there is equity and equitable development. Okay. Remember in 2007, when Mike Kibaki had lost in the referendum, and they were going towards the campaigns, there's no day President Mike Kibaki ever stepped in Nyanza, Raila's stronghold, his opponent's stronghold. But President Ruto has gone to all other parts of the country, including those ones that are perceived to be opposing him, for the purposes of development. And when you get away from this city noise, the city
do you
has
think
a lot
it's
of
because
noise.
he realizes that ODM alone may not really give him the numbers he needs, that he needs the original support that probably was Azimio, and that's why he's going to
Of course,
combine?
he'll get that support. I was just getting to that the rural folks believe in delivery of services. They are issue-based. The noise we make in the city because of social media, we make a lot of, even these so-called demonstrations that we organize and protests, are city-based because our mindset is very different from the village mindset. Because in the village, you see tangible things like the roads network being developed. You see the subsidy of fertilizers, you promote agriculture like that. The way the president came up with subsidizing production as opposed to subsidizing consumption. The rural folks all over the country are so much aware of the program, the progress that the president has made.
Yes.
And the voting, getting back to ODM, I look at the Pentagon of 2007. The Pentagon of 2007 had President William Ruto, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, and the late Honorable Raila Odinga as the main guys. Then there was Balala and Joe Nyaga. It is strongly believed that the President or the Right Honorable Raila Odinga won the 2007 elections. And if that matrix is repeated with the support of Mount Kenya that is there and other regions, because whatever these people declare, Dr. Mbai declare, are just sweeping numbers. They have never embarked on research to find out who has what on the ground. So if the Pentagon, as it were at that time, is reformed in that arrangement, plus the kind of convincing power that the president has, and by virtue of him being the incumbent president, it will be a landslide for the president in 2027.
All right, but ODM will just be a part of that cog and not really the main driving force. You must agree, yeah?
ODM will be a dominant member of the next government coalition that will be a product of the election. And that coalition will be a coalition to transform Kenya, to continue transforming Kenya and leave it to the first world. If you look at what the president is doing, in terms of politically organizing the citizens, he's doing it very well, very organically, at the grassroots. And when you talk about leaping the country to the first world, you must develop every part of the country, and you must mobilize and organize people. You know, there is what you call organizing, so that people understand your agenda, people believe in your agenda, and people see what you are doing. When you see the president focusing on roads infrastructure across the country, when he was in Samburu, he was able to outline the road programs within that region. When he was in Ukambani, we saw him unveiling a bridge that has been a problem to the Ukambani people for a long time, and outlining how to develop the roads infrastructure within that county, including housing and markets. The best way to drive an economy is to work on road infrastructure, work on housing infrastructure, and the markets. And you see that's what the president is doing. When he stated that we must have Kenya leap to be a first world in our lifetime, he was not waiting for a conference or a political rally to negotiate with Kenyans how to do it. He is already doing it, and he's already mobilizing people to that level. And the little elements that builds up together to take us to that direction is already moving in a tremendous way politically. And that ODM is organically understanding. When you see the entire ODM moving to Mombasa, and their main guest during those celebrations is the president, who is a partner in their government, and who, before the death of Raila Odinga, worked very openly and honestly, as opposed to the handshake. You see, ODM was taken to the handshake government. They didn't get any minister, they didn't get any PS, they didn't get any appointment. They was loosely rotating around a non-beneficial arrangement. But with this one, even before signing an agreement, the president had already moved to ODM zones and mobilized development.
Right.
And before signing any agreement, the president had already appointed 5 ministers. Okay. After signing the agreement, the president has appointed 17 PSS. We will not have a president who is so deliberate in ensuring national equity and mobilizing development in every part of the country, regardless of the political feelings, like what President William Ruto is doing. And ODM, that is a fact. And that actually is a sickness of the weak, united opposition who cannot visit the people.
Allow me, Dr.
We only see them in some weak press conference.
Allow us to move on from that. ODM at 20, the celebrations kick off in Mombasa today. It is a 4-day celebration starting today up till Sunday, of course culminating in the bigger celebrations, which will be graced by none other than the President William Ruto. We only have exactly 9 minutes, so 3 minutes each for the next discussion, and that is what features on the front page of the Star today. They say Headache for Gachagua as Uhuru roars in Mount Kenya. Now, this has been a big discussion since the Jubilee meeting last week, and the former president made some very consequential pronouncements on not insulting, and for the very first time he mentioned the DCP party leader by name, Rigathi Gachagua. Yet what we've seen from the other side is that that has been met by a lot of suspicion, and they say that Jubilee is a red wheelbarrow. What exactly is the problem here, and is it true that that Uhuru Kenyatta's return and revamping the Jubilee party is a real headache for Rigathi Gachagua? As you make your final comments.
Okay, very quickly. Number one, I want to say, just for record, all this story, narrative of first world Singapore is fake, is skirmish. I want to tell Kenyans to ignore it and treat it with the contempt that it deserves. It's a narrative that has come to try to cure the campaign for 2027. It will not work. It has never worked. In Singapore, they shoot people who are corrupt. Look at how the theft of public resources in Kenya. So please ignore that completely. Number two, please, Fred, every Kenyan deserves development by right. They pay taxes. Doesn't matter which government or whoever, they deserve. If you want to give them to them, don't do it like a favor. So personally, when the president was in my home county of Nakuru, I released projects that I told them, those who were in the meeting, go and raise those issues. The roads which are stalled, all the promises, 25 promises which are failed. But what did he do? He went, did another 35 promises. So where are we? So please, Ukambani deserves, they pay taxes. Nakuru is second to GDP from Nairobi. So I had to tell them, please, we need all these third rules to be done. The same with Ukambani, no favors. Let the governors go, receive him, not a big deal. I mean, do whatever they can, because we'll match him with the promises. Nakuru, we have another 35, which are going to match. So in a nutshell. But Fomba, quickly, again in seconds. Look, Mount Kenya voted, elected Rigathi Gachagua to be DP. The president decided, this man is
by President Ruto.
This man is too firm. Let me remove him, get a yes man. So Mount Kenya is where we were. They voted for Rigathi Gachagua. So if you remove the strong ministers who know you, who helped you to form government, bring weaker ones that you can control, so that their royalty lies on you because they fear you. That is what has happened, just in a nutshell, just in passing. But finally, to answer your question, people, we are happy for the comments that the former president made on Rigathi Gachagua. And those are things you are going to see coming forward. The only questions people are asking today, we know that the former President Uhuru Kenyatta met with Ruto at Ishaweri. We don't know the details. We also know that Raila said that it is Uhuru Kenyatta who told him to go and help Ruto during the Gen Z revolution. We don't know why and the context. We also know Ruto have said severally that they had met Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila towards making Kenya a first world, whatever that means. We don't know what that means. But also we know that 3 ministers, they were supposed to be 4, Munya refused, 3 ministers were recommended by Uhuru Kenyatta to join Ruto's government. But we also know all Jubilee MPs, I think 99%, they support broad-based. Jubilee MPs today. We also know Gloria Romba, she was here with us. When she supported Matiang'i, she was kicked out. Yet when Jubilee MPs support Ruto, they are never disciplined. Uhuru Kenyatta said he is going to discipline anybody who is going to attack Gachagua. But they are Jubilee MPs, who have been in bed with Ruto, they are not being disciplined. Those are the questions people are asking. What is all this? We agree he is defending Gachagua here, but his Jubilee MPs are in bed with Ruto. They actually attack Gachagua, the Jubilee MPs, but they are not disciplined. So those are the questions we are asking.
So the suspicion is real.
There is, so we are waiting and watching. The only thing I can tell you, we are here to market DCP. We have 40 parties. 25 of them are in Mount Kenya. So it's not a big deal about Jubilee. There are other parties. We will go and market our party. And I can tell you seated here, the United Opposition will have over 140 plus MPs. We want to have a majority in the Senate, in the National Assembly, in Council of Governors and MCs. So as DCP, we are aiming to sweep all the seats in Mount Kenya. Governors, senators, everything else, all the way. Because we need a strong party in Mount Kenya. The party for the now and the future in Mount Kenya is DCP. For me, Fred, I want to tell you something.
And Jubilee is a red wheelbarrow.
Listen, I avoid talking about, because I'm a student of politics and government, I avoid talking directly something about Uhuru Kenyatta. He is a he's a statesman. He's a respected man. Okay. His work, actually, we want to divorce him from this petty politics of everyday learning of a political party, because he was already a president, covering 47 counties. His work is now to go and talk to Museveni, Bobujage, as a statesman. Okay. Let's not reduce Uhuru Kenyatta to be discussing here.
All right.
Let other people,
because of time, final comment, do you think Uhuru Kenyatta will be a factor in 2027?
I think President Uhuru Kenyatta served his term and was supported by all Kenyans during his tenure as president. And he should be happy in his retirement, continue offering good advice, supporting the government. Remember, there was a time when it's mentioned Raila Odinga talked to him, or he talked to Raila Odinga to work together with President William Ruto. And I think that's the spirit with which we should work. These other myopic things that are being advanced by Rigathi Gachagua all the time. He wants our politics to rotate around him. That every time he's talking about they want to send President Ruto home to teach him a lesson because he was impeached. Kenyans want results. Kenyans want to improve their livelihoods. And that's what the President, William Ruto, is focused on. And that's why we see that the united opposition does not have a clear agenda as far as Kenyans are concerned. Something else that I want to address is what you talked about, the impending reshuffle. I want to expect that when the President thinks of something of that nature, it should be focused in terms of futuristic deliverables. He should not continue entertaining people who are fighting or antagonizing the government from within. Something else Dr. Mbaye talked about, that the ministers that were put there are weak. It is a contradiction, because the ministers that came after Gachagua are people with more experience, more exposed, who have been in parliament and have served as cabinet ministers before, like Honorable Mutahi Kagwe, Lee Kinyanjui has been governor, William Kabogo, people of influence, which is a better arrangement than the previous one with Gachagua, who was just a one-term member of parliament, being leapfrogged to become deputy president.
Okay.
And then something else about Western in particular. I do not want Dr. Mbaye to mislead people on this panel that Western is going to go into the united opposition column. Because we are talking about 5 years. After 5 years of President Ruto's tenure, in 2032, we expect that the next president will come from Western.
That's a lie.
Final comments.
That's a bad
we only have time for Bwana Sosion.
Waba used to be a very good student. I used to be my comrade until he tilted. Right now he talks like an apologist.
No, but Dr. Mbaye was a
Waba used to be a very good man.
Just based on interest. Most police are about interest.
I think they're their time, and they are not anchors of the show. They are guests as I am, and they must respect turn talking. We cannot track Kenya to negative stereotypes politics by a loose team that is trying to undermine the pillars of development that the president is pushing, merely because they want the president to fail and to portray the president as having failed so that they have political chances in 2022. Far from that. What is happening in Kenya is so phenomenal. And whether they like it or not, even if they are given 20 years, they are not going to get even to 20%, 30% of what the president is doing. Because the president has a timeline, 5 years in the first term, and another 5 years after 2027. And you've seen the president has talked about Kenya leaping to the first world. When you see the dualing of our highway all the way from Limuru to Malaba, dualing, and then dualing from Total in Londiani through Kericho to Kisumu, and dualing Nairobi-Mombasa highway, and dualing connecting all the counties. Can you imagine how the cities will be connected with very good trunks of roads and with a master plan structure that will deliver it within a short time? You link Mombasa and Nairobi, link Nairobi, Nakuru, Eldoret and the border, and link with Kisumu, link Nyeri, link everywhere, and we have those dual highways. And this is complemented with the housing infrastructure that is spread across all the constituencies. You know, to develop a country, it is infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. And we can see the president delivering and organically organizing people at the grassroots. I can tell you 2027, contrary to the wishes of what they're talking about, a president always in Kenya will be elected on merit. We saw it in 2022.
Okay.
It will be stronger in 2027.
Thank you so much.
And the president will
Wilson
be elected.
Sossion.
That we should close. We should talk about other things. What is it that should be done to speed up the delivery of the road trans in the country?
Thank you so much.
What is it that should be done to deliver the housing in the country, to deliver universal health coverage?
We are happy, Fred.
Everybody should enjoy.
We are happy.
The country can also
deliver agriculture.
Excuse me, Fred, we are happy.
The show has ended. The show has ended. We're just about to finish our victory. Thank you so much, Mwalimu Wilson Sossion, for your time at T47. Bwana Sossion is a veteran educationist.
He is already singing one time.
No one can hear you. No one can hear you. Allow me to acknowledge your presence because you've already talked everything. Thank you so much, Mwalimu Wilson Sossion, who is a veteran educationist, a unionist, and also a former member of the National Assembly, former NC Fwamba, a political commentator, and Dr. Peter Mbaye, Secretary Planning and Economic Affairs at the DCP. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of discussions today, of course. ODM at 20 is a big celebrations happening in Mombasa, and on the front page of Taifa Leo anasema Raila alivyotafuta ODM usiku Dandora. Alikuwa anafanya nini Dandora? Ni gazeti la Taifa Leo. Kwingine kuna gazeti la People Daily, wanazungumzia masuala tofauti. But headache for Gachagua as Uhuru roars in Mount Kenya is a big discussion there on the front page of The Star. Our torture ordeal on the front page of the Daily Nation. And the big one on the Standard, weak-kneed diplomat. Not me saying, these are the headlines today. And ladies and gentlemen, that's the state of the nation. My name is Fred Indimuli. Good morning.